Hey guys, welcome to Cooking with Class. My name is Chef Gooch. With me today I've got Isabella. She is a senior at Lubbock High, showing off some school spirit for Spurs Week. As an alumni myself, I have to say, go Westerners. Today we're going to be making, recreating one of my favorite snacks, and that is an oatmeal cream pie. We're going to do everything from scratch. My practicum students, my fourth year culinary students, we've done a lot of experimentation to come up with this recipe and kind of fine tune it. There's a lot going on, but we're going to do everything from scratch, the cookie, the filling, and we went to great lengths to get to this point. We started off, we weighed an oatmeal cream pie that we're basing this recipe off of. We measured the height, the width, and we've made adjustments to the recipe, trying to get everything to taste just right, to look the same. And then, of course, we added our own little touch to make it just a little bit better. So this should be a lot of fun. To start off, a couple things about an oatmeal cream pie. It's got a lot of oatmeal in it, but there's no big flakes of oatmeal like in a classic oatmeal raisin cookie. So we're gonna be using a food processor. This is a big industrial one. I've got a real small one at home and it'll do the same job. So let's start off with making some oatmeal. I've got some raisins, about a quarter cup of raisins right here. And to this, we're gonna add a quarter cup of oatmeal, half a cup of milk, and a fourth a cup of water. And if you'll put that on the left burner, let me turn that up a little bit. Just watch the heat. We don't want to, and you can stir it up a little bit. What we don't want is for it to burn. We're just looking to cook those oats. This is instant oatmeal. And so all we want to do is get all of that liquid absorbed by both the raisins and the oats. So this is going to add a little bit different flavor. And with the raisins, they're doing two things in this recipe. First off, they're adding that like deep, rich flavor, which we'll also get a little bit later on with some molasses. But also, that cookie is so soft, and it just kind of falls apart when you pick it up. You can hold it on your finger, you can hold it, and sometimes it'll almost break. And so the raisin pulp, when we puree this, is also going to help stop or inhibit some of the gluten formation so that we get an even softer cookie in the end, okay? So we'll watch that. I've got the heat turned up kind of high, so if we gotta like move it or turn the heat down, just let me know. All right, so next thing we're gonna do, there's no big flakes of oatmeal in an oatmeal cream pie cookie, so we need to grind it up. So we're gonna just take all of our dry ingredients and get them into the food processor here. So go ahead if you can reach over and just dump them in. So I've got, I believe, a cup of oatmeal, is that a cup and a half of flour? And then that was 2 teaspoons of just baking soda and 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. And then right here, this is where I kind of went off script a little bit. I've added some turmeric. It's not gonna add a whole bunch of flavor, but it's gonna help to color this cookie just right, add that golden kind of orange color to the finished cookie. And it has all these amazing fall flavors like the brown sugar and the molasses. And it just didn't feel right not to also have that warmth that like some cinnamon and just a pinch of cloves would bring. Here, make sure, yeah, this part right here, and then it slides that direction. Yep, there it is, it locked in, and then just hold down the pulse. There we go. We're gonna grind that up. And what you wanna do is just kind of grind it. You can't really go too far. If the oatmeal gets super, super fine as flour, that's fine. And some of our tests, I like to stop just a little bit before that so it still had a slightly different texture to it. Let's just test it, just look at it, pick it up. Oh yeah, there's still quite a few flakes and chunks in there. So just keep going, it might take a solid minute. All right, let's test that out. Take a look at it. Okay, yeah, so there's tiny little bits, but I don't see any big flakes. Don't see anything too big. Let's dump it into that metal bowl right there and then set it aside. Let's take a look at it, just make sure. there's a couple of big flakes, but honestly, there's not a lot. Very, very little. It's really fine. Our dry ingredients are now mixed really well. So we're gonna set this aside. And I didn't want to dirty up too many dishes, so we're doing everything in the food processor today. Most cookie recipes follow the creaming method. So first thing we're gonna do, and now if you don't have a food processor, you can still do this. You might not be able to make the oatmeal into a oat flour, but that's okay. We're gonna start off every creaming method cookie. You're gonna cream your fat and your sugars. So we've got some butter, big old block. I've got some brown sugar. That was 4 ounces or 1 stick of butter. And then right here we've got, I believe 1 cup of packed brown sugar. Oh, we're gonna need to borrow that scraper. This is, what was that? Yep, 1/2 cup of molasses. Scrape that all in there. Nice. And then my other fat, we do have a little bit of oil for this cookie. And that, I believe it was 1/4 cup. Perfect. And then we can still, that's fine if some molasses gets in there, it's not gonna hurt anything. We'll just stir that up. Yeah, that's looking really good right now, but we want most of that liquid to be absorbed by those raisins in that oatmeal. So medium high heat, still cooking. All right, start her up. Probably should have chopped my butter into smaller chunks. Yeah, it is soft, so once it gets going, there we go. Yeah, just make a really nice paste. At this point, we cannot overmix our cookies. But there's no flour in there yet, so we're not developing that gluten that makes a tough cookie. So this is fine. My food processor, just the on button doesn't work, so we gotta hold the button down for a while. Yeah, I see that little tiny chunk in there. Keep going. We don't want any chunks of butter, because what ends up happening when we mix the final cookie, if you end up with a chunk of butter and you go to bake, it kind of melts out and it'll ruin that one spot in a cookie. So just keep going. Here, pull it out. We can probably like smash it up or something. Let's see if we can't get in there and get that little bit out. I see him. He's right there. Okay. Oh, you know what that was? I think it was brown sugar. Yeah, it was some sugar that got a little moisture in it and turned into a little rock. Well, you know what? We'll just take that out. It's okay. That tiny little bit. Is there any more?
I think that's it.
Is that it? Okay. We'll scrape it down and we'll do one more little blend. And then we don't want to add our oatmeal. This is looking pretty good right there. Yeah, see it? It's starting to form kind of a carpet on the bottom of the pot. Do you see that? Where it's starting to stick a little bit. That's a really good texture. It's really thick. We don't want to add this super hot oatmeal mixture into our butter, because it's just going to melt all that butter, and then now we're not doing the creaming method. We've got melted butter. So what we're going to do, we're going to spread this out real thin. You can put it on a sheet pan, or you just pop it in the freezer like this. Probably take 5-10 minutes. So we're going to do that, clean up our area, and we'll be right back. Yeah, we're just going to spread it really thin. Thinner, more surface area. It'll cool really fast when we pop it in the freezer. Perfect. And then just kind of spread it out with the back of that spatula.
Does it have to go like all the way?
No. None of that matters, like if it's touching the edges or anything, because we're about to just scrape it all back off and dump it in there. Perfect. That's good. Yeah, don't overthink this part. I can just leave that on there. Go pop it in the freezer for me. Thank you. All right, Isabella is back with our oatmeal. I mean, this cooled off in less than 5 minutes. Yeah, so it's because we spread it out real thin. So all we're gonna do now, yeah, that's perfect. That's not gonna melt any butter or hurt it at all. So the creaming method, after you've creamed your butter and your sugar, you add your liquids. So we're gonna add this right here, our oatmeal mixture with the raisins. Go ahead and get that in there. So we've got our oatmeal mixture with the raisins. And then we've also got a little bit of vanilla. I think this is 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And then for our binder, we've got 1 egg and a little bit of applesauce. That's 1/4 cup of applesauce. And I'm using applesauce in this recipe to act as a binder, which you do in a lot of like vegan cookie recipes when you don't have egg. And the apple as a binder is much weaker than the protein structure of an egg, but it's still gonna help hold that cookie together, but also not too tight, because we want that super, really soft, fresh baked cookie. We can crack that back into the applesauce bowl, make sure we don't get any shell, and then dump it in there. Perfect. All right. So we're going to blend all this up, and again, we don't have any flour. Oatmeal does not have gluten, so we can't overmix this just yet. So mix it as much as possible. It's a very wet, kind of sloppy cookie, and even once we add the dry mixture, it's still kind of wet, which is good. That's going to help spread in the oven, and also just give us that texture we're going for, that extra soft cookie. Keep going. I see a couple chunks of raisin, so just keep it going. Keep it going. That's probably good right there. I don't see any big pieces of raisin. It's pretty liquidy. We're just going to scrape the sides down. No, leave that on there. We'll leave it on there. Just use the spatula. Just scrape it down, and then we're going to add the dry, and now we can overmix. So I want to be really careful. When I'm using like a KitchenAid mixer and I add my dry ingredients, I try not to mix for more than 60 seconds. This is mixing with really great force, and so you can overmix it pretty fast. 60 seconds is probably the max. We're going to do a couple of little pulses, maybe scrape a couple of pulses. Use my hands to make sure. There we go. All right, pop that lid back on. Make sure that's that extra fat part. Put it right here. There we go. And then turn it this way. It should lock. There we go. All right, couple of quick pulses. That's good. Stop right there. And honestly, you can kind of finish it by hand. The little chunks of oatmeal are a lot more obvious now. You can see some of them. You see them? You couldn't see them when they were in the dry mixture, but you can see them now. It looks fine. Give it just a couple of little turns by hand. Yeah. This makes quite a few cookies because you use a pretty small scoop. You got just a little small scoop. How big is this? That big. You grab a scoop, I'll grab a scoop. Get them nice and level. Try not to have too extra, that way they're all really consistent. There we go. And you can leave them in a little mound. A lot of times when I'm doing cookies, I want the dough to be cold before it goes into the oven. I think we're gonna just do 12 on the sheet tray, so we'll do 3 by 4. Yeah, get it right in the middle there. Perfect. But we're gonna leave this dough at room temperature before we bake. There you go. Oh, this is gonna make so many. We're still not done. Got a couple of little techniques to show you. That baking soda is really gonna help make this cookie grow, but we don't want a tall cookie. Remember, this is a small, it's a dense cookie and it's very chewy. So when we pull these out of the oven, I'm gonna get a couple of towels and set them right here, and we're gonna give them a nice slam once the cookie is done, and it's gonna help deflate it, and it keeps that like dense, chewy texture. We're gonna make so many oatmeal cream pies, it's awesome. All right, we'll just set this aside. We'll get these into an oven. I've got an oven preheated at 350, and then they do not take very long at all. Keep an eye. If you start seeing a little bit of browning around the edge, rotate them about halfway. I would say 8 minutes, but maybe less depending on your oven. All right, let's get these baking. All right, so our cookies are baking. We're gonna check that timer in just a sec and go get a quick look at them. I set a timer for 4 minutes, see if they need to be turned or not. In the meantime, we're gonna make the filling for our oatmeal cream pies. Now, the traditional filling is basically a marshmallow fluff. So we're gonna make marshmallows. This is a recipe I had in culinary school, but we're gonna put less gelatin in it, so it's not gonna set up the way like an actual marshmallow would. It's gonna be more like marshmallow fluff. So yeah, you could, if you don't wanna make this from scratch, you could just get a jar of marshmallow fluff and pipe it into the center, but we're gonna be cooking from scratch. So to start off, we're gonna bloom our gelatin. Anytime you're cooking with gelatin, you gotta start with cold water. So there's some cold water right here and a teaspoon of gelatin. We're just gonna sprinkle that on top and just let it sit there. Set it aside, we'll come back to it in a minute. Get a little shake, let it mix around. That's fine. Now, we're gonna turn our heat up to high heat. We've got a small sauce pot, and into that, let's dump our sugar. I believe this is 75 grams of sugar. This recipe does have to be weighed, and a lot of my baking recipes are in metric. So this is 75 grams of sugar. I believe it was, let's see, 1/4 of a teaspoon of cream of tartar. And then we had 30 grams of egg whites. That's going into our mixer. If you don't have a stand mixer, just hand beaters works here. And then with the cream of tartar and the sugar, we've got 117 grams of corn syrup. So go ahead and pour that in there. It's really important that on the corn syrup and the sugar mixture, we don't want to over stir this. We want to cook this to a really high temperature. Water boils around 212 degrees. We're actually going to heat this to 240. Okay, so it's going to be very, very hot. And what I would do, you can sometimes add just like a splash of water in here if you'd like. Stirring can cause crystallization, but because we have what's called an inverse sugar, a liquid sugar like corn syrup, that should prevent any crystallization. We don't want this to caramelize. That happens at a much higher heat, around 270. So I'm just kind of folding it together and not over stirring. Like I said, there's so much cornstarch. But if we leave like a piece of sugar, oh, there we go. Go check those cookies. I think they're ready, those little small ones we made. But if we leave like a pocket of sugar on the side of the pot, what can end up happening is it's so thin, it might caramelize before the other sugars reach the right temp. So we're also gonna grab just a little ramekin with some water and a brush, and I'll show you how we're gonna use that in just a sec. Let's take a look at those cookies. All right, oh wow, yeah. Those look great. We already did the kind of slap technique where we kind of dropped them. We'll do that a couple more times. So those were just a little small. I want them to be the right size. They should be about 7 centimeters in diameter. And so that's a little small, but that's fine. We'll make some little minis. It's still fun. These look really, really nice though. Should we just cut into one right now? Isabella says yes. So let's take this corner one. Oh, they're so soft. And you can see on the underside a couple of pieces of the oatmeal. And I think that's fine. They look good on top. And once they fully cool, they're even crackling, just like the real thing. Well, it's a pretty hot cookie, but have a quick little bite. Mm. Yeah, just that tiny bit of cinnamon, just a little bit of like warming spice. It was just a pinch of clove and a teaspoon of cinnamon. They're the right color. They look great. And molasses is really forward. And you are getting a little bit of an oatmeal flavor, so I'd say very good. The edge is just crispy enough. They're really soft. Okay. Let's put these aside, let them cool off. So we're just gonna watch this sugar mixture boil. It's really, really thick bubbles, what we're looking for. And then I've got a thermometer right here. You can use a candy thermometer, but there's just not a lot in here. And so a candy thermometer, sometimes you need more volume. So let's just test this really quick. We're boiling, so we're over 200. You know, 215, 217, 219, 220. So we're getting close. So we might not even have to do this technique where we brush the sides with a little bit of water, and that kind of lubricates that sugar and helps push it down and prevents any crystallization or caramelizing on the walls of our pot. So now what we want to do, we're going to take it off the heat. We're going to we're doing a lot at once. Okay, start that on high speed. Just kind of watch it for a sec. We're looking for the egg whites just to get foamy, soft peaks. Yeah, high, all the way up there, yeah. While that is coming up to foamy, soft peaks, we're gonna add our bloomed gelatin in here and give it a quick stir. Scrape all that gelatin in there, get it all. And then I'm also going to dissolve some salt in there, like 2 pinches or so. And we've got nice foamy soft peaks. That's when we're going to start slowly pouring this in. There we go. Okay, go ahead and start pouring. Do you need a towel? Yeah. There you go. I might do it with your right hand and pour right here on this side. Yeah. Just take that for me. There you go. All right, nice and slow. Just let it dribble down the side. There you go, just like that. Just perfect. If you go too fast, you're gonna have like scrambled egg whites, and that's gross. So it's just, we're getting that air from the egg whites, and then this is adding that sweetness. The gelatin is gonna help kind of it set up. Perfect. You can go a little faster. We can start streaming it. So once you get a couple of drops in and you've tempered the egg whites, the temperature has started to rise, you can slowly increase your speed. Oh, beautiful. It's getting nice and glossy. That looks great. Yeah, dump it all in there. All right, we're gonna let this whip for about 5 minutes. I'm gonna double check on our bigger cookies in the oven. And then when this is done, we're gonna put it in a piping bag, and then all we have left is to assemble and eat some oatmeal cream pies. See how that just flattened them? And we got those nice little cracks and crooks. They're still really soft. We're gonna make sure that these just need just a little bit longer, but they should be good. And so what you wanna do, this is really hot, right? We had it at 240 degrees. And so I kind of just whip it until that bottom is cool or until my mixer overheats, whichever comes first. It's looking really nice and fluffy. You can also take like a cold, wet rag and we can hold it to the bottom, and that'll also help cool it off faster so that it's ready to pipe. Let's go ahead and get clean while we're waiting on that. All right, I got Isabella extra busy right now. We got a bowl of ice cold water to help cool this off faster. We're just gonna give our marshmallow a quick taste. Okay, look at that. We're getting a much better peak. So, you got that. We got good medium stiff, almost all the way there. Taste it. If you spill some water, it's okay. Is it still warm?
Barely.
Yeah, barely. Okay, we want to cool it just a little bit more. Does it taste good though? That's pretty good. Marshmallow is terrible to get out of your beard, so be careful. All right, let's keep going. All right, our marshmallow fluff is all cooled off. It's looking great. We're going to, this stuff is really messy and it takes a lot to clean it up, so try not to get it everywhere. I'm gonna fix my apron that came apart. Will you start? Let's just get that spatula and get it into our piping bag. So you know what? Let me help you. Let me hold it. And just get that deep down in there. Yeah, that's fine. I wouldn't try and put all of it in here at once. Yeah, I don't know, maybe it might all fit. It just makes such a mess.
Yeah, it helps to put it in a cup.
Yeah, you can set, if you're by yourself, you can set this in a cup and then pull the edges out around the side. That's a great idea. Okay, that's good right there. I don't think I brought scissors over here, but if you want to go grab the cookies, let's fill some cookies. Yeah, see, look at that right there. So when we hold them, like that's what I was talking about, how soft those cookies are. But when you hold it, it just folds on its own. So I think we've done a really good job. We'll just throw a couple of these together. You want to put together a mini one? Grab a couple of those little minis. Bring those over here. We'll just pull some of those off. Those should pull off because they're a lot cooler. Yeah, perfect. Oh, I broke that one. I lied. And we'll just throw together like two. And we got those two. We got that one. I think we're good. I think we're good right there. All right. All right. We'll both pipe two. Okay. So I'll show you what I'm going to do. If you look inside of these, they don't do like a full circle, which you could. They just kind of do a couple of little dollops and then they squish them together. So kind of like this. And then when you squeeze them together, it makes like a little scallop. Put my little guy on there. Oh my God. That was a lot of cream filling, but that's okay. These are gonna be awesome. Okay, go ahead, Isabella. Yeah, and it doesn't matter. Yeah, none of that matters. Doesn't matter what it looks like. We're gonna cover it all up, right? Make sure you got a couple of cookies that are about the same size. All of ours should be the same size. I do like our minis. I think our minis got better crackling on the top, right? Yeah, they look really good. Keep going. All right. We are going to make so many oatmeal cream pies. Go ahead. All right, I got a couple of guest chefs that are professional taste testers. This is Jack. What's your name? This is David, future LISD student, and David is a Ramirez Ram. You guys want to taste these oatmeal cream pies? And tell me if we did good? All right, Isabella, grab yours. All right, David, get one.
I'm going to.
You're gonna go for the big one. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Jack, you want one? All right, guys, take a bite. How'd I do? How'd Isabella do? Good? You like it? Give me 5, buddy. All right, guys. There's our homemade oatmeal cream pie. Thanks for gorging with Gooch.
This has been a production of the students and staff at Lubbock ISD TV.